Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. There's some background noises occasionally, but that's life. Most people are probably still in bed. I don't know what this is about having a lie-in on Sunday. I suppose if you work five and a half, 6 days a week, then you have a lie-in on Sunday. I've just never been one of those people, I'm afraid. I've always been an early bird. Or silly, whatever you want to call it, but I can't help it. Talking of things you can't help, a couple of rude comments. I have a coffee in my hand. If I put my coffee down, then within a very short space of time I will start doing this. It's a nervous habit. Making a comment on it and asking me to stop it is as bad as actually commenting on somebody's stutter or somebody's lisp or somebody's squint. Somebody has a particular affliction, they can't help it. But I can stop it by having a coffee in my hand. I don't worry about such things, but I just find that rude. And I don't get rude comments under normal circumstances. It was a name I didn't recognise, but so be it. There's other channels if you don't like this one. Right, what's going on out here? First thing, last time at the Orchid Society meeting, a few people got up and spoke about media, and I'm going to have a quick chat about media because to me there are lots of different types and some are more suitable than others in certain environments. I always remember Rick L. He grew outside in very pleasant circumstances, and he grew a lot of the time in pebbles, river stones. So not strictly speaking a media as such, and obviously there was a lot of air around his roots, and with a media like that doesn't actually hold water, you can throw as much water as you like on those plants, they're never going to stay wet, are they? You leave them out in the pouring rain. That's fine if you've got that sort of environment. I haven't. I could grow in stones or leca. The trouble is with leca, it does actually absorb some moisture and it can become quite wet. Therein lies the problem for me. I've got some orchids that like to stay moist, is the expression. They don't like to be soggy or soaking wet. I was watching Ed's orchids. He was having a look at his Masdevallias and he decided he was watering them far too much because they were soggy, they were wet. Now that's not the same as moist. Moist means that if it was possible to squeeze the media, you wouldn't get a flood of water coming out, like you would say with sphagnum moss that's holding a lot of water. Sphagnum moss can be perfect to stay moist if you're very, very careful how much water you add, because it will wick around. So if you put a bit of water around the edge of a pot, the rest of the pot will get some of that water because it will move. Now if you put water around the edge of the pot with bark, that's where it will be. It won't move. It'll stay where you put it. It doesn't soak into the pieces next to it to any great extent. So choosing a media is firstly, what sort of environment have you got? If you've got a very warm environment, then there's a lot of evaporation going on. So when you water your orchids, you have to consider how often you can water your orchids. And if that's not very often, and you've got a very warm environment, then you need something that holds moisture. A fair bit of moisture, because the plants are going to dry between waterings. However, if you're around your orchids an awful lot and spend a lot of time with them, and you can water them as frequently as you choose to do so because you have that spare time, then your orchids will probably do better if you choose a media that dries relatively quickly. Now there's a good reason for this. Your lovely water, and possibly with your feed that you pour into the pot, has something special about it under normal circumstances. It's called fresh water. However, when it goes in a pot and that pot stays wet for a long time, there's pots in here that are still wet. You know, they don't need watering after 10, 12 days this time of year. Well, that water's stale. Whatever moisture's left in that pot is stale and is probably going acidic, because there's a fair few pots in here have got moss, and we'll come on to that in a minute. So you've got to go careful. I mean, if you choose bark as an organic media, you've got different grades. The fine grade of bark will hold a lot more moisture than the large grade of bark. The large grade of bark holds hardly any water at all. So you pour your water in and virtually all of that water comes out the bottom of the pot. And if you're in a warm atmosphere, you'll have to do it again the next day and again the next day and again. So if you like watering, then that would be a good media. However, add some medium bark into that large bark, and now it will stay wet longer because the gaps are smaller and there's places for the moisture to lay. Yeah? If you add some fine bark to your large bark, it will look funny, but it will now hold more water for longer. So you see what I'm getting at? You can choose a media to suit you, your lifestyle, and your plants, and more importantly, the environment you've got. I've now got a cooler environment, so I've got to go careful, or I will get soggy pots and rotted roots. So I have got to go careful. Right, that's that bit. It's Sunday, so we do thanks for the support for the channel, in whatever form. Don't forget, if you don't do any financial support, that's fine if you watch the videos, but don't forget that the financial reward from YouTube for us busy hard-working creators is via the adverts. Unless you're on premium. If you've gone for YouTube premium, then you don't see any adverts and you don't have to worry, because you are still contributing to all of the channels you watch. But if you're not on premium, it's watching the adverts that gets YouTube with its arm up its back. All right, I'll give you some money. All right, because it doesn't like it. It doesn't like parting with money. Anyway, that's that. And as I say, those on Patreon and the members, you know, it's gratefully received and appreciated. On the subject of channels, you'll be aware now, you might not be, it depends how many of the videos you watch, but the two other channels, Roger's New Garden and Roger's Bonsai, are now one. The deed has been done. So Roger's New Garden becomes a dormant channel. It becomes a documentary or a vlog, whatever you want to call it, of all the hard work that was done getting this garden back in order, so that it becomes not maintenance free but easily maintained. And all of those videos, you know, hacking down the bamboo, all that sort of stuff, the big tree, all the work that was done is now self-contained in that particular channel, and there won't be any more videos posted to that channel. The gardening videos, though, are not lost. I've merged the gardening channel with the bonsai channel based on the fact they are all it's all about the garden, isn't it? So those two have been merged together now, and it's now called Roger's Garden and Bonsai. So you can search for that if you haven't already done so. And if when you get there you're not subscribed, it would be nice if you did so. And while we're on that subject, I had a look at my stats. Do you know, there's a third of the people that watch my videos relatively regularly that are not subscribed. I'll come and find you. Yeah, it costs you nothing. Don't worry about the expression. There's no financial exchange of, you know, funds or anything. Subscribing to a channel just helps the channel grow. It helps YouTube see that people appreciate the channel and are watching the videos. That's all it's for. Just click on the old subscribe button. Oh, got something stuck in my flipping tooth. It's driving up the wall. Last night's steak didn't come out with the toothbrush, I think. I'll get it in a minute. Right, so what else is going on out here? Lights. We are now using the lights on a daily basis when I'm here. I haven't got a timer, so on days when I'm not here, they just stay off. It's the equivalent of a thunderstorm in the wild, yeah, when, you know, it's dark and dismal on that day. So I don't worry about them not being on for a day. But the natural day length at the moment is up to 9.5 hours virtually, all but a couple of minutes. But the usable light within those 9.5 is only 8.5, because from daybreak it takes half an hour before that light is workable. Yeah, so I take an hour off of the said day length and use that as nature's day length. Then I add my lights on top of that, starting when it starts to get when the light level starts to drop in the evening, which at the moment is around 4 o'clock. And at the moment they're getting 2.5 hours, so from 4 o'clock till 6:30 in the evening. I've come across people that get very flummoxed with trying to work out how long the lights should be on in the morning and how long they should be on in the evening. Why? You don't need to have the extended day length at both ends. Let Mother Nature do it in the morning and you do it in the evening, or vice versa. You don't need to do it both ends. It's the total that matters, not when, not where, and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I only do it in the evenings because most of the time, first of all, when these lights go on, it lights up the garden and it travels quite a way. They are bright. To do that at 5 o'clock in the morning and light up everybody's bedrooms probably wouldn't go down too well. So doing it late afternoon into early evening, most people are bustling about doing stuff, you know, getting their tea and all that sort of stuff, so they wouldn't bother. So I do it in the evening, and it suits me better that way. What else? So that's what I'm doing, and at the moment Mother Nature's day length is 9.5 hours, which I think is 8.5 hours of usable light, and I'm up to 10.5. Yeah, that's my plan. So over the next few days I will get to 10.5. A few more days more I shall be up to 11, and then 11.5, and then 12. And this is going to be quite a rapid increase, because I want to be up to 12.5 hours by the middle of February. So I haven't got many days left, so I'm going to have to increase my lights quite regular now and actually build up the day length to get it up to the full day length that I want. There's a fly in here. What are you doing this time of year? Where did you come from, more importantly? How did you get in? Right, so that's what I'm up to with the lights. We're inducing spring. Now at the moment we've got mild weather, and as such I don't need to worry about using the heater during the day to increase the daytime temperature. I'm borrowing the heat from the house. I mean, it's currently 20 in here. Once we get a week or two on from now, I would rather have 21, 22. The problem is it's a catch-22. The likelihood of enough heat coming out of the house to achieve that is probably not going to happen, which means I have to use the heater. To use the heater to get up to that temperature, I'm going to have to shut the door. So the heater's going to be on for quite a bit of time. But I'm only inducing spring. Once I think I've induced spring okay and I've got the day lengths to where I want them and everything, hopefully the plants will have already responded. It's difficult to tell, but also as we get through February and come towards the end of February, we will be starting work. I've got a lot of repotting to do, and a fair bit of the repotting is based on, I use the Let's Grow Some Roots mix, as I call it, which is small bark, perlite and broken up sphagnum moss. I don't use the great big long pieces, I break it up into smaller pieces so that it's evenly distributed throughout the pot. So it keeps it evenly moist rather than having wet spots and drier spots. So that's the theory behind that. Back to media again. But yeah, there's a lot to do, and I'm not prepared to have sphagnum moss in pots very long, because it does turn acidic, and once that happens your roots are not in an ideal place. Now they might still do okay for a bit, but they're not going to thrive if they're in an acidic media, unless they are the type of orchid that comes from that environment. Most of the orchids that come from that sort of environment are probably terrestrials or semi-terrestrials, and they're growing in the leaf litter and that on the ground. Those don't mind a slightly acidic media, because that's how they would normally be. But most of the orchids we grow are epiphytes, so you know, it's somebody mentioned about if you get conifer forests, pine forests, you know, the leaf litter is effectively pine needles. That is an acidic environment, quite acidic. But if a plant was perched on a branch on the tree as an epiphyte, that's not acidic, that's just bark. You see what I mean? So you know, even though the environment, if you did a soil test, for instance, it would be probably very acidic. That's not where the orchid's growing. If it is, then yes, that's what it likes. But if it's up in the tree, it's probably based on the rainwater, you know, the acidity of the rainwater, which is normally slightly acidic. It's rarely alkaline. That's our fault. We put so much muck up in the atmosphere. As the rain falls, it picks up a fair bit of that, and that tends to turn it slightly acidic. You know, rainwater, if collected clean and in a clean container and is relatively fresh, is normally about 6.8, 6.9. So that's what Mother Nature would be dumping on the plants. But then as it runs down the trees and over the dead leaves and all that sort of stuff, it becomes a little more acidic as it goes along. And that's where a lot of the nutrients are picked up from. So that's that, the lights. Workload, quite great this year, but I'll be doing things in batches. So, you know, like I'll do like 5 or 6 Masdevallias at the same time. They're all going to go in the same media, and they all need the same treatment, so they'll get done in batches. The video that's going to come up soon, that I hope is one of those that does have a high interest, is the progress update videos. We're on round 2. We've done the first one. So set 1 was originally filmed in, I think it was filmed in June. So that was the first progress update of things that were worked on. This is back last year. They were worked on in January, February, March time, and we did a progress update on those in June. We did another one in January. So then if we go back to last year, set 2, the first progress update was done in July. That's due 1 now. So that will be a video probably Tuesday in the coming week. I'll even tell you what's going to be in it. It'll always be a variety, because the sets were based on the work I did, often totally irrelevant to what genera were involved. We've got a Masdevallia, 2 Restrepias, a Miltonia, an Oncidium. There was 2, there's only 1 because 1 got chucked out. A Miltoniopsis. There were 2 of them, one of those has got lost. See, the sets are going down rather than up. There's a Colmenara, which isn't doing very well, and my attempt at a back bulb, so we'll have a look and see how that's doing, and then a couple of species Oncidiums. So there's a fair mix there, and that'll probably, we will do the progress update probably on Tuesday. Those are busy videos for me. There's a lot of pop-ups, a lot of words to put up on the screen, pictures of blooms. Yeah, they're quite, I won't say fiddly, I know what I'm doing, they're not complicated, but they do need a fair old bit of work. So that'll probably be for Tuesday. Monday's my day off. Don't do videos on Monday. And Tuesday might have 3 videos. We might have a gardening video, a bonsai video and an orchid video. Well, if I've had a day off, you know, I've got to be busy, haven't I? So that's that. Right, coffee. Now, from now on until I either forget or I get fed up with doing it, we decided to put the spotlight videos on the end of the Sunday chat, on the grounds that those that don't like those type of videos or are not interested in a particular plant can just finish watching the Sunday video and just away you go at that point. Well, that point is now. The spotlight's coming up next, and this week we're having a look at a Paphiopedilum. So I've given you every opportunity that if you're not interested in spotlight type videos and you're not interested in having a look at a Paphiopedilum species, then now's the time to say bye bye and I'll see you next time. If you're hanging around, let's get going. Right, this was got at a tiny little distance. It reminds me of those rock concerts that you used to go to, you know, where you're at the back of the crowd and there's little matchstick men in some bright lights. You know, they could be anybody, you don't even know it's the band, do you? Apart from what the noise they make. Right, this was got at Wisley with some of the money that was donated by people for me to get some new plants. And this came from Elite Orchids, which is a Paphiopedilum specialist. And it's possibly one of the few places in the UK where you can get the unusual. And by unusual, I mean crosses that have been done there and possibly don't exist anywhere else. They can cost a hell of a lot of money. The main problem you've got when you're crossing paths, mainly from seed, I don't think they mericlone very well. Perhaps some do, I don't know. I might be talking with forked tongue. But basically, a lot of the production of new versions of Paphiopedilums are done by crosses through seed production. And that's where this has come from. So, in amongst the seedlings that were produced via this cross, they say there's 30. There might be 300, I don't know. Let's say there's 30. But there could be 30 different ones, all slightly different. And in amongst those slightly different ones could be a couple that really stand out and are special. Those are the ones that will get registered with a clonal name. Yeah? And at that point, that will be the only one. Yeah? Because that's the one that was, you know, the guy at Elite Orchids, I can never remember his flipping name, he's got awards, he's probably got a room full. There's so many. But what this is I'm going to put the name up because I can never remember it, and it's too big a name to put on a tag. So I know it's this one because this is the one without a tag. So the pop-up goes up. I'll explain the name. First of all, FMA stands for form, and then you've got album. So this is the alba form of this species, Philippinense. So that's what the first bit means. And then it's crossed with sib. What that means is some siblings, in other words, some seedlings produced from this alba form of this species. One of them has been registered as special, hence the name, yeah, after sibling, and that's been used to cross back with the alba form. So it's, you know, it's quite that's why the names are flipping long, and I can't remember what it is. But anyway, when I got it, it was in flower. I think it had 3 blooms on it. It is a multifloral one, and I don't think this has got much of a root system, and yeah, that's explainable. This one comes from the Philippines and North Borneo, so that area, and it grows from sea level to about 500 meters. It's classed as a warm grower. In some places you read it's classed as warm to hot. In others it's classed as intermediate to warm. Yeah? The thing is, when you've got something that grows on limestone outcrops that are often cliffs on the coast, you've always got that sea breeze. So although the temperature might be warm, there is a cooling effect from the sea breeze, which is why some people probably class this as intermediate. It also can often be found in full sun for parts of the day. It's a bright light Paphiopedilum, not a shady one on the forest floor. So already we've got something a bit different. It likes bright light. Without something like 11 to 12 hours of good light every day, it probably won't bloom. It needs those day lengths with good light to get it to bloom. So my new growth here, yes, when that gets up to full size, this needs good light all the time if I'm going to try and get a spike on it. So that's that. Now, it grows on limestone outcrops. This does not like an acidic mix. It grows in an alkaline area, but it's probably growing in some leaf litter and it's not growing on bare rock, it's growing on stuff that's collected around the rock. So although the rock might be limestone, the roots have probably got a bit of acidity mixed in with the runoff of the water. So probably neutral to slightly alkaline, something like that. What did I pot it in? Because I didn't know and didn't do my research, I put it in my Let's Grow Some Roots mix. It's got sphagnum moss in it. It's got to come out. So this comes up to the front of the list of the repots, and it will go back in bark with probably growstones and perlite. No moss. It likes more alkaline. And the way to do that is to stop anything being in the media that breaks down quickly, which is the moss. So the moss has got to come out. There's something else special about this one. Quite special and well worth knowing. It's very, very reluctant to produce roots. It's a very slow rooter. New growths will often produce no roots at all for the first year and might start having a go at producing some in the second year. So you've got to go very, very careful, not only when you repot this, but very, very careful if you're going to divide one, if you've got a big one. Yeah? So it doesn't like to grow roots, doesn't like root disturbance, so we need to take care. So when I take this out of here, whatever roots it's got are precious. They will get rinsed off, not poked around and prodded and pulled here and there. They'll get rinsed off, and then it will be put in new media minus the moss. And that, as I said, comes up to the front of the list. But the new growth is growing quite nicely. It's quite a strong new growth. But I've often said when I pick this one up, there's no sign of roots in the pot yet. Well, now I know why. If I'd done the research before I bought this plant, I wouldn't have bought it. It's fussy and it prefers warmer temperatures than I'm capable of producing. So it's never going to thrive. It's never going to be a stonking great basketful with 5 or 6 spikes on. It's not going to be like that. The best I can hope for is to get a spike on a new growth when it matures. The other thing with this is it can grow quite big. Now this is obviously a seedling, you know, first blooming, possibly a division, I don't know, but it was its first blooming. Now that could have been broken off a large plant as a single fan with a spike on and sold like that. Yeah, so when this fan matures, it might not be a mature plant that's blooming size, even though I bought it with a bloom on. You've got to watch that. You know, when it says it's in bloom, it doesn't mean automatically it's a blooming size plant. It could be a division that's got a spike buds, blooms on. And the division, the process of taking that division off a mother plant has now made it a non-mature plant. And your new growths may not bloom for a couple of years until it gets back up to blooming size again. So you've got to watch. Just because a plant's in bloom doesn't mean it's blooming size. And that's what this is. So this new growth may not bloom. Hopefully the next one would. So don't hold your breath, I think is the expression. Anyway, so that's a look at a Paphiopedilum species that's a little complicated because it's technically it's a hybrid, but it's a hybrid of a certain form of the species crossed with another one of those species that was actually named because it was special. You see what I mean? It's still the same species, but technically you wouldn't find it in the wild. Yeah? It is a hybrid of types of that species. And you get this quite a bit with Paphiopedilum species. You get a normal species, the normal one. What's normal? They're infinitely variable. You know, so even in the wild you could find 10 plants on a hillside. They've all got different blooms. They're all slightly different, but they're all the same species. So you can imagine that when you come into hybridizations, you're looking for something special. You're looking for one with much longer dangly bits, or more twisty dangly bits, or a bigger lip. Yeah? You're looking for something that stands out, and then you use that to produce seedlings. And then hopefully the trait of that sort of special one will come out in some of the seedlings. So it's a game, and it's slow progress with Paphiopedilums. Just have the patience of whoever. It wouldn't do me. You know, to get a Paphiopedilum seedling up to blooming size, you're probably looking at 4 years, maybe 5. And then it might not be a very good one, you know. So you just sell it on as a cheapie or something. But, you know, hard work playing with those. Right, so there we go. That's our spotlight for today. This fly's really starting to annoy me. Reminds me of the summer when you obviously, you know, you get them in the house, don't you, flying around the light. You think, the light's not on, you dopey. You know, why are you flying around the light? The light's not on. Why there? But yeah, they do annoy me, flies, because they keep catching your eye. You know, those fungus gnats, the little black things that you get, well, you tend to get wherever there's plants, basically, they're around. They are most annoying when you're watching a TV, or like me, when I'm working on my laptop with the large screen. Because they're between my eyes and the screen. But because your eyes are focusing on the screen, you don't know how far away they are, so you keep doing that and missing the flipping things. That's why my pinguiculars are out here. They deal with the fungus gnats. And yeah, because of the cooler temperatures this year, my pinguiculars have actually, they're Mexican pinguiculars, they've reverted to carnivorous plant. That word just would not come then. So at the moment they are non-carnivorous. They've lost their sticky on the leaves. Quite a lot of the older leaves have died back. They're just little bits, little green rosettes at the moment, but I will start watering them again soon. Day lengths are getting longer again. Hopefully daytime temperatures are coming up. Hopefully they will start growing a bit better soon. Forget how many I've got now. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 6 on that shelf. They're all together at the moment because they're not getting rid of fungus gnats at the moment, because they're, you know, as I say, they're not working as carnivorous plants. I think that's all I've got left now is 6. I did lose a few last year. Yeah, I can't see anywhere else. So just the 6. And yes, now I'm going to have the fun, because this is the first longish video I've done, and my new Broadband is in, and quite honestly the videos are loading so fast, I've still got it in my head how long roughly say a 20-minute video is going to take this long to load on YouTube. And I turn me back for a couple of minutes and look around and it's done. Boy, is the upload fast. Magnificent. So, and I explained the saga about my muck up with the broadband. I'm now paying for 2 broadband services and I can't get out of it. But I've got the fast service I want. So, okay, I'm paying more than I could have done, but that's the way it is. I can't change it. So there we go. And it's grand. It really is. You know, the videos are loading up onto YouTube so much faster. All of the screens and sites that I use are just loading in an instant. No waiting, no little whirly thing in the middle. That's just all gone now. It's just all instant. So it's good stuff. Anyway, that's Sunday chat done, early in the day, and yeah, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do for the rest of the day, but there might be some more rugby on, in fact, because I've already watched some rugby. The Six Nations has started, and that's a rugby tournament that I like to watch, because unlike the World Rugby, the Six Nations, 4 of them are here. It's the UK, you know. It all seems more relevant. So it's basically our 4 nations, you know, England, Scotland, Ireland and Wales. And then you've got France and Italy joining up to make the 6. And yeah, the Scotland-Wales game was strange. Scotland were leading 27-0 at half time, and Wales came back to 26, so they only just missed it. And it was a big deal for Scotland. That's the first time, I think, for living memory that Scotland have won in the Cardiff Stadium in Wales. So they were over the moon. I bet there'd be some sore heads today in Scotland. Anyway, I didn't watch all of any of the matches, but I watched a fair bit of 3 of them. So we've had 3, there's another 3 to go for the first round. Then we have a little break and then they'll be back on again, so I like that. Yeah, so a little bit of sport on the TV, which doesn't happen often. I'm not a... And I'll show you how important this tournament is. On the Hours News, BBC News, breakfast, all that sort of thing, you have headlines, then you have details, and then you have a little story, and then you go and have a look at the local news. So that's when it, you know, I have a look at BBC South and it says about what's going on around here and, you know, how many roads are blocked and all that sort of stuff. And then it goes on into the little section on sport, usually about 10 minutes of sport after the half hour mark. And it started with the rugby, not the football. Just for once, rugby came on first. And it was quite a good section on the 3 matches we've had so far. So well done, BBC. Not everybody is interested in football, believe it or not. I have no interest in it at all. I've always explained to people I know nothing about football. I know 2 things about football, nothing and bugger all, and I'd like to keep it that way, thank you. But I do like rugby now and again. I like the darts, the world tournaments with the darts, but I have to turn the sound off because I can't stand the audience. I can't stand the silly chanting and the silly singing and the dressing up and stuff like that. I want to watch the darts, not the people watching it. So sometimes, the filming gets a bit... It's like you're watching a top tennis match and they keep switching round to show you the audience just on match point. No, we want to see the tennis. We didn't... I suppose they need to get a bit of variety, but yeah, it was good to have the rugby on first on the sport. Yeah, this shows the BBC can get it right sometimes. Bearing in mind it's a relatively short-lived tournament, I don't think it happens every year, I think it's every 2 years, so, you know, come on, it's on now. Let's see it, let's see what's happened. Then if you've missed a match, you at least get a report on it. So there we go, and sidetracked totally. I will see you next time, whenever, whatever, but not tomorrow, day off tomorrow. I'm going to try and stick to that if I can, and just do other things. A lot of the time as the season progresses, Monday will be my working day. That will be when I'm doing my repotting and stuff like that. So I will be filming, but I don't count that as filming. It's a bit like the Sunday chat. The camera's on a tripod. I don't count that as filming because I haven't got to do anything apart from stand in front and waffle, which is what I'm doing now. Filming is when I've got the camera in my hand. That's filming, when I've got to worry about focus, I've got to worry about lighting, I've got to worry about can you actually see what I'm trying to talk about and stuff like that. So that's what I call proper filming. So yeah, so I'll probably be doing some of my work on the Monday and filming it ready to show you later in the week. Put them on the shelf ready to go some other time, that sort of thing. Right, so I'm done for today now. Waffle has ended. Cease to be, and thanks for dropping by, thanks for supporting the channel, thanks for watching. Don't forget the old thumbs up, don't forget to subscribe. I very rarely ask people to subscribe to this channel, but if you're not, it would be nice if you did so. And leave your comments, they're always welcome. All comments get a response, even if it's just thanks. Everybody gets a response. I know as channels get bigger that goes by the wayside. I can think of one in particular where you might get 30 or 40 comments and perhaps 2 replies or 3 replies. As channels get bigger, people get busier. So I can understand it, but I don't want to go that way. I want to always put a response on the comments that I get. Even it is in the most simple exchange, thanks for the video, you're welcome. It's just a simple exchange, it's a comment. And believe it or not, the number of comments on a video, YouTube do actually keep their eye on that, you know. So they do like to see comments, and they also like interactions. Oh, there's a bug, I forgot to say, there's a bug on YouTube. If one of you good people leaves a comment and I leave a response, and then you leave another comment under that, YouTube will often double the whole thing up. So it's on there twice, duplicated, so it's a bug. It's nothing to worry about, it's not doing any harm, and I do get conversations actually sometimes. I do get people sneak in and answer questions for me. I don't mind, I really don't. I'm not having a go. So if somebody asks a question, somebody else jumps in because they know the answer. I'm happy with that, you know. And then you get a thanks on the bottom of that, and sometimes you get a little conversation going that's absolutely nothing to do with me. That's YouTube. Anyway, see you next time. Thanks for dropping by.